Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mr. Flipwagon YouTube channel. I'm Mr. Flipwagon, but you can call me Mel. And whether I like it or not, at this point I have played this game for basically half my life. And throughout the years I have played a lot of ships. Actually, how many ships have I played? Holy okay, that's quite a lot of ships. But anyway, throughout the years, there is a high likelihood that one stumbles upon a ship that one grows attached to, or a ship that starts meaning something to oneself. It may be a ship you feel some kind of nostalgia towards, it might be one that you acquired in a certain point in your life. Maybe it's a ship someone gifted to you, or a ship that's playstyle just fits you as an individual. Here are some of the ships I personally feel sentimental towards. The first ship I will bring up is the Hindenburg. It is the first tier 10 ship I personally grinded and acquired. According to WoW's numbers, I got the Hindenburg on the 13th of August 2017, and my first ever battle played in World of Warships was played on the 19th of April 2016. So it took me a little over a year to actually get the Hindenburg, but that is understandable, I suppose, considering that this was a time when I was completely free to play and where economic bonuses were extremely scarce. And whatever you do, do not look at my Hindenburg stats. Yeah, I was not the best Hindenburg player at all. This was still a time where I played the game extremely casually, and it took me a very long time to actually start learning and understanding the game. Still, the Hindenburg signifies a huge part of that development. It was my first taste of true top-tier gameplay, the peak of what the game had to offer. The capstone of a branch, if you will. I remember playing it as an AP-focused cruiser because that was honestly a very viable way to play it back then. Unfortunately, there are many better AP cruisers in the game at this point, and a lot of ship's armor has gotten tough enough to consistently minimize the damage from Hindenburg's AP at long ranges. While I have generally moved on from playing this ship, I still love picking her up and taking her for a spin every now and then. Oh, and if you are wondering why I picked the Hindenburg as my first ship to grind towards, it was because I was going through a Hindenburg hyperfixation during that time of my life. Like the Zeppelin that went up in flames. I always thought it was a bit weird that they would name a ship after a Zeppelin with that fate. I wasn't the smartest kid. Next up is the Jackal. That name may sound unfamiliar to you, and that is because you cannot get or play this ship in-game anymore. The Jackal was first introduced in 2016 as a part of the first ever Halloween event operation, Saving Transylvania. And good friends of mine will know that the Halloween events are and have been one of my all-time obsessions. I loved the 2016 to 2018 Halloween events with all my heart, and I love the Jackal specifically because it was kind of like the starting point. It was the first ship I grew attached to in this Halloween event cinematic universe lore thing. One of the reasons I liked it was, well, okay, I'll have to give more context for this as well, but basically, this is Halloween event lore. The first three ships in the Halloween event that you could play were the Blade, Igor, and Jackal, and all had their own special commanders: Abraham von Helsinger, Victor F. Einstein, and Henry J. Hyde. And I realized when I was young that Victor F. Einstein was a reference to Victor Frankenstein. That was the first reference I got, and I understood it pretty quickly. And Igor was in one of the movies, like I think in Young Frankenstein, he was Frankenstein's sidekick. So I realized that, okay, the commanders and the ship names are connected in some kind of way in this Halloween event. So I started wondering what the two other ships or their commanders were referencing. Now you may know the answer immediately, but I didn't know because I was like 12 at the time, and I wasn't much of a movie watcher or reader either. But with some Google searches, I found that Abraham von Helsinger referenced Van Helsing from Dracula, or rather the 2004 movie Van Helsing. But I actually struggled with finding the source for Henry J. Hyde and Jackal. I eventually found a Reddit, or I think a World of Warships forum post, in which someone explained that they referenced Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So a combination of being in the dark about this mystery ship and then learning about it and its source material instantly made me gravitate towards it the most, or made me fall in love with it the most. And it, along with the Halloween events, have kind of changed my life to a ridiculous degree. I wasn't that much of a reader back in 2016. I honestly never really was when I was a child. But finally, in around 2018, I decided to get into reading, and the first book I decided to read was The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, followed by Frankenstein, and then by Dracula. And as of then, I've expanded and continued reading because of this event. One could also say that the Easter egg videos that I've posted on this channel could also partially be attributed to the Halloween event references, as they were also kind of like Easter eggs that I had to search and find the context for. One could also say that the St. Anhalt lore is partially inspired by the Halloween events, and for those of you who don't have no idea what the hell the St. Anhalt lore is, you can check out this video, but I'll also explain it a bit more later in the video. Point is, this was a part of my childhood and a cornerstone in my creativity, and just existence in general. And while the Halloween events may never come back again, I at least will have the camouflage to remember this shit by. And sometimes during the early morning hours I may take the ship out for a spin. That way the matchmaker is mostly bots, so I don't accidentally seal club. And I get to enjoy one of the most meaningful ships for me in this game. Before going on to the next ship, I also want to give a honorable mention to Sviatozar, or the Halloween event variant of the Chapayev from 2017. I would add it to this list, but if I did, I would go over many of the same talking points as with the Jackal, so this would just become a 90% Halloween event video, and that's not the intention. But anyway, let's move on to the next ship. Coming up next is the tier 10 cruiser Goliath. And this is a weird ship because if you look at my most played ships, the Goliath is not included in that list, or it's rather far down. But if you look at my most played ships in clan battles, you will see that I have played 273 battles in it, which makes it one of my more played ships in the game. Back in the early 20s, when I started playing clan battles for 1701, this was my go-to ship. Playing a kiting cruiser was my forte back then, and still kind of is now. Although to be fair, it's not like I have had a lot of opportunity to branch out to other classes, since CB commanders generally want you to play the role you play best. Which makes sense, because you do want to make sure that people are giving it their all, and playing what people are comfortable in, to, I guess, min-max your team's skill. During the early 2020s, I feel like I had a massive spike of improvement. Before that, I kinda played the game brainlessly and relatively casually, but during this time I actually improved a lot. Partially because I started playing the game a lot more, and also partly because I had found a clan with cool people to play with and learn from. I also remember back when the Goliath originally came out, its reception was surprisingly mixed. While it was seen as balanced, people also said that it had no real niche or that it didn't do anything interesting, and they viewed it as a con of the ship. Looking around in today's World of Warships, I honestly think that a world where we got more Goliath-esque ships would have been better, instead of ships running around with 5 different consumables, or airstrikes, or combat instructions, etc. What is nice though is that in the years following Goliath's release, it did start gaining popularity and appreciation. As of right now, I think its true glory days are over though. While it still can perform well, the current battleship heavy long-range sniper meta does not really do it any favors. But I digress. Let's move on to the final ship of the video. The last ship I will talk about in this video is a ship I think a lot of people can see coming, at least some of my close World of Warships friends. While the Goliath gained appreciation after its release, this ship was hated on release and is still hated to this day. It is none other than the Anhalt. It was practically love at first sight when I first saw it, because it was one of the most hideous ships ever. It's so unlike traditional German shipbuilding. It's just, I mean, what even is that? And when this ship came out, it was received very, very poorly. And the thing is, I can't blame the community for this one. While I think a huge chunk of the World of Warships community judges a lot of fine ships unfairly, mostly because they compare them to the newest and most broken ship, the Anhalt is, straight up, relatively speaking, mediocre. That is the objective truth. It is very clunky and slow. I believe it gets the largest torpedoes in game at 700 millimeters. Contrast that to Shima's Longlands that get, I think, 610 millimeters. And even Rodney gets 622 millimeter torpedoes, and yet Anhalt's torpedo damage remains the lowest. Yes, even lower than a tier 7 battleship. Furthermore, the guns have a very low shell velocity and very low penetration values, that even if you get 15 guns at long range, you're still not guaranteed to hit anything because the overall accuracy is just not great. So here was this ship, forsaken by everyone, a ship that looked hideous, with hideous stats, and I just looked at it and wondered, what would it take to make this ship work? Surely it's not that bad. I don't remember how it started, but at one point we started referring to the ship as Saint Anhalt, or the patron saint of gamers, the one who guides our shells.
I'm just trying to
Well, I think this would be a good time for us to raise our hands in prayer and offer some kind words to Saint Anhalt, patron saint of gamers everywhere, for blessing us this day.
Amen. And I really tried to remember where and how it started, but I honestly have no exact recollection. Another big development or piece of lore regarding the Anhalt is that in 2021 we arranged with the 1701 clan a small fun mode in a training room. I won't go into the nitty-gritty details about the event here because I've actually conserved the recording of the event on my channel, so if you want to see it, I'll link it either in the description or through an info card or something. But in short, this game mode featured two teams. In one of them was a pair of high-tier subs, and on the other side was just a bunch of tier 5 cruisers, and the cruiser's mission was to sink the subs. And the cruiser to sink the subs would win an Anhalt. Unfortunately, I did not win that event, but my good friend and friend of the channel, Milsnerf, did, and he generously gifted his Anhalt to me, and that is how I acquired the ship. In addition, like 90% of the cruisers used in that event were Yahagis. The Yahagi is also known as a very bad tier 5 premium ship, but it has some of the best ASW at its tier and class for some reason. Which is why we used it in this context. But from that we kinda started making up lore that a colony of Yahagis existed and celebrated Saint Anhalt, and that became the first piece of the lore that would lead to the creation of the Saint Anhalt mythos, which, as a friend commented, is literally just World of Warships fanfiction. I will make a dedicated video about the Saint Anhalt mythos in the future, but in short, the mythos is a collection of stories that follows the three saints, Saint Anhalt, Schill, and Nottingham, along with their apostles and disciples, and they fight against a world of overpowered and unbalanced ships. Along their way they meet many other characters and factions, some that they befriend and some that they oppose. I should also mention here that the concept of World of Warships lore was inspired by the Halloween events that I talked about in the Jackal entry, Hell, the entire World of Warships Halloween event saga is largely also a part of the Anhaltian canon that I've left untouched as a tribute and appreciation to the Halloween event game modes. While the mythos is partially a running joke, it has also partly become a serious creative and social project that also includes social commentary about the game's landscape and the player base. Currently, the only Saint Anhalt related video on my channel is the Tragedy of Saint Anhalt, which genuinely is one of my favorite videos that I have ever made, and I feel like it's aged nicely compared to much of my other content. In the end, the main theme of the mythos, or rather Saint Anhalt, is that no ship shall be hated, no ship shall be left behind. And through that, I've kinda built myself an appreciation and love for the more niche and mediocre and bad ships in the game. So in short, I'm sentimental to Anhalt because of the creative aspect, building lore for these ships in an otherwise loreless game. It has influenced my ship preferences and the way that I look and play the game itself. And last but not least, the community aspect of the entire thing has just been wonderful. From the small community sub-hunt events that we've arranged, to just discussing and making up lore with people. And another final honorable mention for this list would be the Yodo, but I didn't include it in here for the same reasons I didn't include Sviatozar. And yes, the Yodo does have a spot in the St. Anhalt lore. But anyway, this video was a huge yapfest. But now I want to hear from you. Do you have any ships you are sentimental to? What are the stories behind them? I would love to hear about it in the comments down below, and if you like this type of World of Warships story time or discussion video, then please leave a like and feel free to subscribe for more content like this. Anyway, I've been Mr. Flipwagon. May St. Anhalt bless your RNG, and I will see you in the next video.